Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today is the 21st of December 2020 and we are finally into the final days of our L Word Advent Calendar Christmas special. So make sure that you're all caught up on my previous 20 days. And then we only have 4 more days left, and I'm hoping that you have enjoyed this whole thing. Of course, in the 25th video, I will talk a bit more about the whole experience and whether I'm going to do it again, etc. But if you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe, because we have a lot of stuff that's going to start coming out in about 2 weeks about season 2. When they go back to filming, because they are on break now. And if you subscribe to the channel, you like the video, and you comment down below on this video or any of the advent calendar videos, you'll be entered into a draw to win an L Word goodie bag on Christmas Day. Now, the goodie bag is, I have maybe ordered the same stuff for myself because I really like them. And also, I announced in my live yesterday that on Christmas Day I will be launching 2 pieces of merch for the channel. And if anyone out there is talented with graphic design, art, anything, and you'd like to be involved, I will of course compensate you for your time, #payartists. But right now I'm keeping it simple, and the shirt that I wear a lot with the names of the OG characters going down. So it'll have, obviously Bette, Tina, Shane, Alice, Tasha, Dana, Helena, everybody, Jenny, Max. They'll all be on one of the shirts. And then the other shirt, Generation Q shirt, is going to have all the new cast, plus, Shane, Alice, Bette. I'm going to put Tina. Maybe some people might argue I shouldn't, but I'm doing it. And then the rest of the shirt will have Sophie, Danny, Finley, Micah, Tess, Nat, and Gigi. So you get one, you can get the other, you can get both, whatever you want. I will post in the Christmas video the link to them, and yeah, you can get them in loads of colors or anything. If there's anything else you'd like to see, let me know. Just because I know some people ask, any pictures that are in the show cannot go on shirts because of licensing and copyright and all those things. But if anyone is interested, I'd love to do like a Bette and Tina one, but I am not artistically inclined. So anyone who wants to be involved, please just drop me a direct message on, probably Instagram's the best, but if you have Twitter or something, that's fine too. So we are on to season 5, episode 3, and as we all know, this is the penultimate episode to episode 4. And the She Bar opening, the Tibette scene, there's a lot that's going on for the rest of season 5. So without further ado, season 5, episode 3, Lady of the Lake. So, like the last one, I just want to say about the opening scene, I love the opening scenes in season 5 so much. I think that was one thing season 3 actually did really well, was the opening scenes for that with all the connections on the chart. But season 5, they are my favorite cold opens. I absolutely love the way, every week we get a little something different about Les Girls. And it's just, in this one though, it's the Charlie's Angels one. And I don't know whether this was on purpose to poke even more fun, but they just literally have the cheapest wigs you could possibly imagine. And I love that Bev is Charlie, and because Jenny hates Tina so much and is casting her in this light, that Tina is Bosley, and it's just brilliant. And it was pretty funny because the gun did read bisexual, which, they haven't actually done anything about Alice being bisexual for a very long time, so I wasn't aware whether the show was still aware that she was. But I guess they are, and they're just choosing to willfully, neglectfully carry on. Starting out with Jenny, she's not got too much going on in this episode. Actually, we see her at the gym, and as we know, she's hired Adele now to be her assistant, and Adele is going a little further than, you know, the usual boundaries, and Jenny is also, you know, serving as the kind of info for the audience to say, hey, we're gonna do in a few episodes this pink ride, and, you know, dropping the sponsored by Subaru. So Jenny has said that she's been training for a while, and that kind of nugget of information is left so that we know coming up at some stage all the group are gonna do this Subaru pink ride for Dana. And I'm glad they did say something quite early, because also I don't think they mentioned Dana enough. Just personally, people in my life that have passed away, like I have friends who have. My mum passed away when my brother was very young, so I mean, it just comes up in conversation sometimes, like, oh, remember when we went here with mum, or remember we went here with my friend or something. And I feel like since Dana died, they had the one episode where they go to the waterfall, and then everybody's like, okay, moving on. So I'm glad that we did get a bit of a Dana mention, and we do, you know, have the little scene when they go on the ride and stuff, which obviously I'll talk about more when we do that episode. But I know that when Erin Daniels was on Pants, she was saying about how she had to like sign all these things so they could use her image, you know, the way they have Dana's the bar, obviously. So we might get a few more mentions about things, like maybe someone will ask why it's called Dana's, and we'll get some more mentions, because it still does feel like it should come up more. Like with Kit, it hasn't really come up organically that much, so I'd like to see them calling back to those people a little bit more. Speaking of Kit, not too much in this episode except for the big thing that happens to her, that she gets held up at gunpoint, and, you know, they take her week of earnings. And as we know, next episode we get the ultimate television villain, Dawn Denbo, and her lover Cindy. So Kit definitely gets a lot more going on from next week onwards. Shane in this episode, after, you know, going through the entire bridal party last episode, she is doing like a celibacy thing. And I mean, this episode seems to happen over a few days, and Shane is acting like she's been celibate for like years. So again, like with the whole wedding party thing, it was a bit over the top. And Alice and Tina are, you know, at the beginning when they're in the gym, and they're kind of saying, well, when things like that, you know, we know Tina hasn't slept with anyone in a while, and she doesn't seem to have the same energy as Shane towards doing other things. But that's the main focus for Shane that episode. And again, it's just a bit over the top, but again, it's television. Max in this episode is once again just treated really poorly. Again, my video daily reminder of telling everyone to go and watch Disclosure. The other thing that was kind of strange is that when Tom and Max, we see, you know, a little bit more flirtation with them too. And when Max is talking about like the video camera to Tom, all I could think about was, yeah, but why do you have a video camera? Because podcasts are audio. They do not have video. Like, there's a reason that I don't call these podcasts, because they're not, because you see me. So yeah, Alice calls them podcasts too. I don't even think I like knew about podcasts then, and it was very, very, very niche. So I think someone heard that word, didn't really understand it, just started throwing it around. But you are making a video, not a podcast. Helena, we see fitting more into jail now that she's with Dusty, and they've got their own little, you know, prison system sales and distribution going on. And as we know, Peggy Peabody herself shows up in this episode. I kind of wish that they did what they did with Laura Holloman in season 2. I mean, obviously I've seen this episode loads, but they put her name in the credits, which I always think that's so silly when they do that, because imagine if, I mean, they showed Tina really early on in the episode, but it just, I don't know, it's so much more powerful when you don't really know it's coming from the credits. And Peggy seems to have changed a little bit. Some of the things she said don't feel like quite the same as before. And then we have Helena getting out on bail, and of course Peggy's like, rich people don't go to jail, or, you know, we're getting out of the country and going somewhere that has, you know, no extradition treaty. And I am here to tell you this is 100% absolutely accurate, because I was talking about this a tiny bit on my live last night, but I used to work for someone who was on the FBI's most wanted list for a very, very, very long time, because I used to work for PokerStars and I used to work in e-gaming. And yeah, back in the day when online gambling wasn't legal in the US, PokerStars operated there. And, you know, they, instead of putting through like a charge that would say PokerStars or something, you would put through it was our website and you're using, you know, to play poker or slots or something, but the charges would come through as like 200 ping pong balls and all these things. And there was a day, like in the gaming industry, everybody knows it as Black Friday, and it's when the FBI basically was like, we have had enough, and they seized all the e-gaming sites, like the big ones were PokerStars and Full Tilt, and it was pretty wild. And then whenever they, you know, it went through court and all these things, they basically had this enormous fine. And then Full Tilt was another company, and they had the same fine too. But PokerStars was doing the right thing, and say you went online and had an account that had $100 in it, that was being held in a different bank account, so like that was all protected. Whereas Full Tilt, the people were just spending the money that people had in their own Full Tilt bank, and so Full Tilt couldn't pay. So the US Justice Department said to PokerStars, okay, you make all of the Full Tilt customers whole and we'll like forget about it. So they did that, they paid all these fines, and then still for a very long time, the, you know, like founder was on the FBI's most wanted. They asked me in the interview how I felt about that. And when they sold Stars, you know, that Stars had to say like they're not there anymore, and that's how Stars legally went into New Jersey. Like I opened their New Jersey office, and only this year did, because they're Canadian, the founders, and only this year did they say, hey, okay, we're ready to make a deal. And he went to the US, went into New York, cleared everything up, and, you know, now everything's fine again. And it's, I mean, that's a public story that I can tell, because if you Google PokerStars, it comes up. But there's a lot more to it, and there's hundreds of thousands of other instances. I could tell you, I know people who have been in like drunk driving car accidents, and they have seriously injured or even killed someone, and they basically get off because of money. And yeah, the world is a really, really corrupt place, stealing, all these other things that, yeah, if you have enough money, you can literally get away with murder. So some people may look at this and think, hey, but the Isle of Man, especially where I live, because it's a tax haven, there's a lot of very, very wealthy people here. And I mean, the island is very, like, I don't lock my car, I don't lock my door. It's just, there is no crime here at all, because it's a very like rich place to live. And yes, it's super safe and things, but people also mainly come here for tax reasons. That was a little full perspective on why Peggy Peabody is absolutely correct in that if you have enough money, you can pay your way out of trouble. I really actually hated that they did this because, okay, in season 2, I would have been cheering getting rid of Helena, but Helena's one of my favorite characters. I love Rachel Shelley. I think she's great, and I never understood why they basically got rid of her for the rest of the season. It made no sense whatsoever. I even went and did like a big, because I remember Rachel Shelley being on Once Upon a Time shortly after the L Word ended, and I thought maybe there was some like, but it was years after. I think she was on it 2011, and I just no idea to this day why they did this. I know that they really whittled the cast down, like the main cast, like even, you know, special guest star Sybil Shepherd wasn't really in a lot of these main episodes, and it was a lot of Bet and Tina focus, which obviously I'm never complaining about that, but there was just why? I don't understand why. That was one of the only critiques I would really have of season 5, because I think season 5 is awesome. I think that if the entire show was season 5 caliber, then it would, you know, be a totally different show. But I never understood the Rachel Shelley thing, and I don't understand it now with Generation Q. Rachel Shelley is not super busy, neither is Rose Rollins. Why aren't Tasha and Helena at least even coming back to clean up their storylines and what happened and where they are, or what even happened between Tasha and Alice? But that is a rant for another video. Speaking of Alice and Tasha, in this episode, Tasha officially gets, you know, the papers saying she is being held back and investigated for homosexual conduct. And she gets assigned Captain Beach as her lawyer, who does not seem too pleased with his lot in life. And he reads out kind of, you know, the thing Tasha was seen at the racetrack with her arm around another woman. She was seen having a lover's quarrel at the base, which, how did Alice get on the base? Why was Alice on the base? Why was this allowed to happen? And then also about her giving preferential treatment to a woman in her unit, which isn't true, and she explains what, you know, why she didn't give it to the man and why she did give it to the woman. But, you know, Beach says it's really hard to fight these things because they normally end up being true, and that's the problem, because 1 and 2 are true, and Tasha is gay and Alice is her girlfriend, and both of those things happened. So then when I watch this, I mean, it's awful, but even now watching it, like, I used to work with a guy, when I was a manager at American Eagle in university. One of the other managers, he used to be in the army, and he was gay. He was a little bit older than me. I think at the time he was like 25, 26, and he was really like funny about, like, I knew he was gay, and like no one else did, and I said to him, like, you know that I'm a lesbian, right? And he was like really, really shocked. And over time he like slowly, you know, built like trust in me, and he told me. And I never told anyone else at work because it just was, I mean, this was like 2008. It just wasn't that sort of thing that you really talked about at work. And he would say to me, you know, I am don't like to talk about it because it's been like built in me to not talk about it from the army. And he was like honorably discharged for something. I think he just, you know, his time was done, and he had a boyfriend and stuff, and we became really good friends just purely because of both working at the same place and being gay, and like I would, you know, cover for him if something came up, and we had like a relationship like that, and he used to always come to see her Alicia Haley's band with me when she was in town, and yeah, it was great, but it did like real lasting damage to him that he had to hide his entire existence and things. And if you think about over all the time since the early 90s when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was implemented by Bill Clinton up until it was repealed by Obama, how much time, effort, and money was invested in literally outing people and investigating people for that. Like, I've talked before about where I live, like in the 90s, like early 90s, they would actively raid people's houses here. Like, it wasn't some antiquated law that just sat on a book and it was, oh, technically it's still illegal. Like, they were really enforcing that. And, the police come out every year, and there's loads of the government and stuff always come out every year here and basically are like, we're sorry that this is how we treated people. Like, when I was young, I didn't know I never saw a gay person over here, like openly, obviously. And now, like in government, our head, we call them MHKs, like our head MHK, up until a few years ago, he's retired now, he was gay. And it's just all that money and effort and time spent like hurting people. It just, it makes me angry. But I just think about those people that they've had this inflicted on them all their life and probably have maybe not severe mental health issues, but there have to be major ramifications. And even the little bit of time that I spent in the closet, like, I can't imagine ever having to live that way in your adult life when it's being forced on you because of your job or something, even though you yourself would happily come out. So it's really, and in some countries that is still the way, and it's why we still have so much work to do to make sure that everyone is openly allowed to be who they are and love who they want to. So it's not over. There's still loads of things to do, but I mean, I was just watching TV and a commercial came on, and it was something as simple as there was like two girls taking a picture, and they were taking, like the picture like this, and they like kissed each other on the lips, and like, I would never ever have seen that when I was a kid, ever, on TV. And they have like the dating app ad that has two women, and just those little subtle things where you don't need to make a big huge song and dance about it, but just having those little positive things in society, it means the world. And to also have representation like the L Word, like Generation Q, like on Grey's Anatomy, these are things that we never saw as kids. And that's why positive representation also matters, and being able to look at a show where there is at least one couple that is not cheating on each other or attacking each other or deathbed or something, some terrible thing. We need some positive representation that we can look at and say, look, this is what I want in my life, and be able to look at those little things in society and be treated just the same as people who are straight. So that was a long roundabout way of saying that representation is so important, because never seeing it can have serious internalized homophobia repercussions. And I don't want people to have to grow up and deal with things the way I did. I want to be better for younger people now who are gay, and having people on Generation Q that look like all of us, that love like all of us, and having one freaking couple together. Like, I guess the way I'm saying is, why'd you break up Ben and Tina? Put them back together and fix what you did. Wait, what episode are we on? I'm so sorry. That went off on like a bit of a tangent. But Alice also interviews Jodie on a podcast and that kind of carries into next episode, and they're, you know, setting up Alice in this, oh, she's doing quite well, and then they also have an Archer advertisement entered in the episode, because I don't know if anyone who didn't watch the show when it actually aired, that Archer was a real thing, and you could go on like the way they're going on and finding people, and I kind of liked how it was similar to when they're trying to find someone for Tina, similar to when they're trying to, you know, find someone for Alice, and Danny's like, oh, the bird thing is a whole thing. And basically Archer, nobody really used it to the full extent, because who is going to go online and put who they're sleeping with? And every time that I went on it, it was broken. So I didn't really, I tried to do it like multiple times, like just even look at the website and, you know, look around and see what was going on, because I lived in like a big city, Tampa, and yeah, it was broken every single time. Other people who review the episodes, I've heard them say it was broken every time they tried to go on it, so it wasn't just me. Tina in this episode is still looking for her Miss Right, and she, you know, says the mortgage broker and her from last episodes didn't, you know, have anything in common. And throughout this episode, everybody separately calls Tina a snob and then calls Bette a snob. And Tina goes out with the cardiologist Brenda in this episode, who's in next episode as well, and they sleep together on the first date and stuff. So you go, Tina, you go. And Bette in this episode goes to Big Bear with Jodie. It's like her friends do. She said for 11 years they've been going and staying in this cabin, and it just looks like they go out and have some fun and do some outdoorsy stuff and cook and all that. And Bette does not seem to get along with anyone. She tries to get out of it in the beginning, and Jodie's like, no, you're not getting out of it. And then Tina's like, good for you, Jodie. And Bette, you know, just doesn't get along with anyone. She doesn't really try too hard. I mean, that's like an outdoor, that wouldn't be my ideal, but I usually will try and like get along with anyone. I can normally, except for my dad's wife, I can get along with anyone. And Bette does get to leave early because Kit calls and says, you know, she's been held up. So Bette, rightfully so, is like, oh, I need to go back, because where they go, Big Bear and LA, it's like really, really close. And, you know, Jodie's like, oh, I'll come back with you. But yeah, Jodie's friend Michelangelo was pretty intense, and then he was like calling Bette out for basically, you know, not doing enough to bring the prices down in the art world. So yeah, he was a tough one to get on with. And that is pretty much it for this episode. So I cannot wait for next episode. I am so excited. Season 5, episode 4 onwards is just peak L-Word, the best of the best, and I'm really excited to do the rest of the season. Oh, so much. The best. These are the episodes I watch all the time. Just if I'm like, oh, I need to put something on to go to sleep to, or I need to just feel good and watch something, these episodes on. As I was saying before, on Christmas Day, possibly Christmas Eve, I will be releasing the 2 t-shirts. So it'll be the OG L-Word cast, all the names down the front, and the Generation Q cast, all the names down the front too. And it'll just have a little really small thing that says like Ash Silver on the back. And as I said, I think that you can also, with the people that I'm doing it through, like you do it, they're all different colors and things, and then because it's the same, like, you know, design, that you can put it on like cups or phone cases and things. So I'll leave those options up too, but I can't, whatever you guys want. But if you are an artist or graphic designer or just even want to have a go, let me know. I definitely would like to do some more things. So there's like a couple of items in the merch store, but we cannot use any obviously photographs or stills from the show because of copyright and licensing and stuff, which totally fair. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe, because in 2 weeks we'll be getting lots of season 2 news, and we also have only 4 days left of the L Word Advent calendar. So let me know down below in the comment section what you guys have thought about the Advent calendar, if you've enjoyed it, if there's something you would like me to do differently, if there's anything you want me to squeeze in the last 4 videos. And if you subscribe, like the video and comment, you'll be entered into the draw to win an L Word goodie bag on Christmas Day. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it. Also, if you want to keep up with even more L Word news and content, don't forget to follow me over on my social medias. I'm really close to 1,000 followers on Instagram, so that would be really cool to cross that before Christmas. As always guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope everyone's having a great start to their Christmas week, and I will see you all tomorrow for day 22 of the L Word Advent calendar. So make sure you stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye! If you want to know who is playing Carrie in season 2, big L Word news, click this video. And if you want to know the behind the scenes gossip on the original L Word, click this video.